This is Chapter 4, Using Teamwork in Performance Improvement. So in this chapter, we're talking all about teams. So when an organization or a PI team have identified some opportunity for improvement, one of three different approaches can be used. The first is to establish a blitz team. So the blitz team approach is used when the fix is a process that's a problem fairly simple and when the problem is confined to one single area or department. The blitz team typically spends very little time on gathering data, but instead focuses on solutions. The group is made up of those who are very familiar with the process or the product that needs improvement. So the blitz team are going to be system experts. For example, the release of information requests are going to the general department email and are not being handled in a timely manner. So the ROI staff might work together to brainstorm and select a solution. The second approach is to disseminate information or to develop educational training programs. So this is very straightforward. It can be used without a lot of personnel resources, and the focus is on sharing information that will correct the problem. An example of this kind of approach would be if the organization just installed a new keycard access system. And so all the employees now are going to be using their badges to enter secure areas. This is the result of one security PI project. So our goal is just to educate. So in this case, the best way to do that is to create some educational training program for everyone. The third type of approach is the functional or cross-functional team. So this approach is used when the opportunity for improvement, which is what we're going to call problems in this course, when the opportunity for improvement is complex and or when it involves multiple departments or units within a department. So we always have to keep in mind when we're looking at something, does this opportunity for improvement involve one single department, or can it have sort of a domino effect throughout our own department or throughout the entire organization? An example might be that we've decided to study revenue, and we find that significant revenue is being lost because we're not able to contact patients due to missing or inaccurate demographic information. So we don't have their correct phone number, we don't have correct email addresses, we don't have correct mailing addresses. We're just not able to contact those patients. This is the kind of problem that can have an enterprise-wide effect, and the problem or solution might occur in or have an effect on multiple departments. What does an effective team look like? Well, an effective team requires a supportive culture. The use of teams for problem solving and full participation of all team members is the single most important way to achieve effective teams. So we have to make sure that the organization culture is supportive of our team and its efforts, and that everybody who's part of the team takes that responsibility seriously. The organization culture has to support the inclusion of individuals that are most familiar with the process or product, because these are the people best qualified to accomplish the review process and to suggest viable solutions. So when we're looking at a problem, we want to make sure that it is the person who uses that information or that product who's giving us input, helping us through the recognition of the problem and helping us with the solution and helping us test those solutions. We've all been in areas where someone has, from an administrative standpoint, can have a great idea and they want things done a certain way, but if they don't work in the department or work with that kind of information, those expectations might not be realistic. And then we have inclusion. It's important to include individuals from every department that might be involved to make sure that a proposed solution in one unit or department isn't going to cause problems somewhere else. So we have to be cognizant of the fact that just because we make something work for our area, we also need to see how that's going to possibly affect other areas within our organization. Everybody in our team has a role to play. The team leader should be someone who's organized and willing to lead. It's not necessarily a popularity contest. It's just someone who has those qualifications. We need a leader who is able to keep everybody on track and to keep the process moving forward. The facilitator has a very similar role. They need to be familiar with how the PI process works, and they are responsible for establishing an effective process. Because the team leader and team facilitator roles have very similar responsibilities and they have some overlapping areas, to save time, usually one person fills the role of leader and facilitator. Every team member has to be fully willing and to be engaged and participate on the team. You can't just show up and sit there and take up space. You have to really be willing to dive in and share your ideas, listen to other people, and actually be that great team member. The team recorder or scribe is the person who's responsible for documentation of the team's work. This is the person who's going to make sure that everything that gets discussed, every solution or recommendation that we come up with, every type of follow-up that we're going to recommend, everything needs to be recorded. So that is the responsibility of the team recorder. They have to be able to take detailed notes, but they also need to be able to do it quickly enough to keep up with current conversations. So being the team recorder can be a little difficult if you have a slow time comprehending and then writing down what you heard. So again, this is a skill set that not everybody's going to have. So don't feel bad if it's not you, but if this is something that you're good at, this might be a great opportunity for you to show your skills. Every team needs a timekeeper. So the timekeeper keeps the team working on the agenda during meetings. They actually are going to watch the time, and they might always give something like a 5-minute warning. It's really important in meetings, especially if there are very strong feelings or if there's a lot to discuss. Sometimes it's easy to get off track. Sometimes someone feels that they have a lot to say and they want to just keep talking until they can wear everybody down and get them to agree. So if we have a timekeeper, that really keeps those conversations limited, and it really does help us to make decisions more quickly and still make good decisions. The agenda isn't really a person role. The agenda, though, does serve a purpose. It's a list of the tasks that should be accomplished during a meeting. So the goal of the timekeeper is to keep us on time, on task with the things that are listed in the agenda. So every team should have goals. Every team is going to have a team charter. So the team charter is going to list things like, what will the team address? What's the team's goal or vision? Who are the team members and what department do they represent? Healthcare organizations set goals at different levels. So for a PI team, they might create a mission statement, which is identified by the team itself, and it tells what it does and who it serves. A vision statement does just that. It's a vision. What is the plan? So the vision statement is going to describe what the PI initiative will look like in the future, or what milestone can be expected at the end of the activity. So it's exactly as it sounds. It's a conceptualization or a vision of the future after the process is complete. The book makes a very interesting statement. It says, humans have a natural tendency to resolve disharmony. I think that is a very admirable goal, but I've also seen a lot of meetings where that was not the case. So I'd be interested to hear feedback from any of you who have had some expertise in meetings and might have an opinion on that. And then lastly, we have a value statement. The PI team's value statement communicates a description of the organization's social and cultural belief system. So this isn't really going to be specific to the team. This is going to describe more an overall organization function. Every team needs to set ground rules. So ground rules are specific rules that everybody on the team agrees to. They are usually produced in a brainstorming session. By consensus, everybody on the team agrees to abide by the rules once they're established. So once we've created those ground rules, the team expectations are shared with everybody. everyone knows what's expected of them. And then the ground rules should also include what happens to members who don't follow the rules. Because the ground rules are created by every team, they're going to be a little bit different for each team. And lastly, in this chapter, we have problem-solving techniques. There are two different management styles for problem-solving techniques. There's the inclusive style. So in this style, all viewpoints are considered equally with respect to their potential contribution to the team and to solving the current problem. There's the exclusive style. So in this style, the goal is just to reach a quick resolution or result, so the input might be limited. Everybody doesn't have a chance to speak their piece in this style. There are positives and negatives, of course, of both styles, so a combination of both is usually the most effective. Active communication is really the key to problem solving. We all know that from just the most basic level. So all team members must feel that they are equally valued to encourage their participation, and all team members must be responsible and speak up. So everyone needs to be allowed to participate, and everyone needs to take the opportunity to participate. The balance of listening and speaking is crucial to a team. It's important to listen to other team members as they speak. And I'm talking about really listening, not just waiting for the other person to stop talking so that you can talk. That is not active listening. If you do that, you're just not really listening. Everyone should speak confidently and respectfully. It's the responsibility of each member to participate in this process. Sometimes we might need to find tactful ways to limit the talking of a member who speaks too often or too loudly. And we also need to make sure that quieter members are called upon to speak. So if we know someone is a little bit shy, reach out to them, ask them, so-and-so, what do you think about this? Or you've been very quiet today, what do you have to add? We need to make sure that everyone contributes. So effective teams make decisions as a group, usually by consensus, and by acknowledging the perspectives of all participants. So that is the information that I have for you on Chapter 4.